everyone, it's Dawn and welcome back to my channel. I am here today to do a long-awaited collaboration video with MaryEllen after 60. I have been looking forward to this for so long because I love MaryEllen so much. And I watched MaryEllen before I ever made videos of my own. And I didn't really comment a lot. I just really liked her personality and I loved the information she provided. After I started making videos of my own about a little over a year ago, I got to know MaryEllen, and we have so much in common. We're both nurses. We both live in the state of Illinois. We're both fair-skinned and we have a similar complexion and skin type. So we do have a lot of commonalities, and she is even more beautiful as a friend than she even is on her channel, which is hard to believe because she seems like such a beautiful, sweet and kind person. And then you get to know her and she's even more sweet and kind. And I know her subscribers feel that way too. So if you don't know MaryEllen, I'd be shocked, but head on over to her channel and tell her I said hello. The more likely scenario is that you have come here from MaryEllen, and if you did, thank you so much, and I hope you'll stick around and I'll get to know you. So MaryEllen and I are collaborating on products that we used 5 years ago, and we're focusing on, I believe, skincare and makeup, or maybe even some hair products. I don't have a lot of hair products, but those kinds of things. So 5 years ago, I had 4 children under the age of 15, and none of them were driving yet, and they were all active in sports and activities after school. So I pretty much lived in my car, driving them wherever they needed to go after school. So I would basically shop wherever I was. If I was heading across town where there was a Walmart, I would head into Walmart. If I was heading the other direction where the mall with the department store was, I would go into Carson's in Von Maur or Macy's and peruse the higher end skincare lines. 5 years ago, we were just starting to we're building a Sephora, or they were building a Sephora 6 minutes from my house, and I don't think it was completed yet. So I didn't have access to Sephora and a lot of brands like Too Faced and Urban Decay and Kat Von D and all those other brands. But if I drove an hour from my house, I could go into Sephora and explore. So when I did do that, when I would go with a girlfriend and we would drive a little ways and go to Sephora, I would sometimes just pick up products that looked pretty to me, or I thought that would be very nice, because I wasn't watching YouTube and I wasn't hearing the reviews. So there was a lot of hit and miss going on. So that was not the way I typically shopped for my makeup. What I did is go into the department store and talk to a lady behind the counter, and I would purchase a lot of Clinique and a lot of Lancôme, some Estee Lauder, and some Elizabeth Arden. And those were the main brands that I focused on. And I, very early in my life, once I graduated nursing school in my early 20s, I used a lot of Clinique, and I continued to use Clinique skincare all the way through my 30s. And then I started incorporating some Lancôme, and I think the first serum I got was the Lancôme Genefique, and I stopped using that for a while. I actually used it for about 3 to 5 years, and then I went on the Obagi system for 3 years, and now I'm back onto Lancôme. So Lancôme is my favorite skincare, and it has been 5 years ago and before, and I still use elements of Clinique. Right now I love their Take the Day Off, and 5 years ago I used the 3-point system, where they have the cleanser, the toner, and the moisturizer. I still use the cleanser, and I'm going to start incorporating more Clinique products because I think they're fabulous. But that's what I did for skincare. The other thing that I did every night for my moisturizer was I used coconut oil. That was my favorite oil. It was the only oil I used, and I still love coconut oil the best. I use it in my hair, I use it on my skin, I use it on my cuticles, I use it on my lips, and so that has been a tried and true product that I used 5 years ago, and I still use it today. Now I'm gonna jump in and I'm gonna show you some cosmetics that I used 5 years ago. 5 years ago, my favorite foundations were by Estee Lauder, and I used the Double Wear, and I used one that they don't sell anymore. I think it's discontinued, or I know it's discontinued, and it's the Lucidity, and they look the same except this bottle's a little wider and it says Lucidity on it. And this one is a more of a light reflecting, more luminous and a lighter coverage. And then the Double Wear, as you all know, is more of a medium to full coverage foundation. And I probably didn't need a full coverage foundation 5 years ago, but I really like it and I like the way it performed, and it took the guesswork out of buying foundations. I would just use these two all the time. I actually still miss the Lucidity, and I was really happy to find the Double Wear Light that I'm now using in my rotation of foundations. I feel that it's very similar in formulation, and I like it the way I liked the Lucidity. So I think I'm gonna pitch this one. It's pretty old, so this one needs to go, but the Double Wear Light is a current choice. The next thing that I really love, and I loved it 5 years ago, is from the drugstore, and it's the Maybelline Age Rewind with the little spongy applicator on the top. And this is one of my absolute favorite under eye concealers. I still use it all the time. I keep one in my purse, and I've gone through so many of these, and you can see this one is about to be used up. And they also sold another one that was bigger, and it was like a foundation. It looks exactly like this, but it was just bigger, and you could use it for all over your face. And I loved that one too. I would use that on a daily basis. I was in my early 40s, and I just, I was so busy with my kids. I just really focused on getting my makeup on my face and getting out the door. So it was so quick and easy, and it provided a beautiful kind of mattifying coverage that I really enjoyed. So these products are wonderful, and I would even purchase this one in a darker tone because I used to fool around with trying to contour and things like that. So I would put a little of the darker shade beneath my cheeks and blend that out. So I was trying to be creative and makeup artisty with my Age Rewind. I don't really do that anymore, but it did work. It was very effective. So anyway, I loved this, and I still do. Next was a very pretty blush and contour and highlight palette from Estee Lauder, and it has like your bronzy shade here. I loved this for my blush, and then it had these two more earthy shades just for everyday wear. I would put these on, and then I would give this pop of color right on the balls of my cheeks. They do still make colors like this, but they've repackaged everything now, so the packaging is different. I'll link this particular product below, or at least I'll tell you what it's called and the colors, so if you're interested, you can try to find it. My other favorite, and it's still a favorite, and they do still sell this, and it's been repackaged, is the Bronze Shimmer by Estee Lauder. It's so pretty, especially in the summertime. It really warms up my very fair skin, and it doesn't look too orange. About 5 years ago, I fell in love with these Lancôme palettes that look like this. I'm using it today, and that's how it looks. And I always loved greens for some reason 5 years ago. I still like greens a lot, not as much as I did 5 years ago, but I leaned toward a lot of earthy green colors, and this was a favorite of mine, and it still is. It's so beautiful, and these were the kinds of palettes I had. I didn't have large palettes like I do today. The other drugstore favorites for eyeshadow palettes were the CoverGirl eye enhancers, and I still love the eye enhancers. The packaging is a little bit chintzy, but they're only like $4 or $5. I get mine at Walmart. This is a favorite of mine for daytime. I think it creates the most beautiful look, and I still reach for this. Even though I have a lot of really beautiful palettes, this is still a favorite palette of mine, and I've purchased several of these over the years. And the other one is this one, and these look similar, but this one's actually a gray and this one's a white. It's hard to tell that in the light, and I don't know how to make that show, but anyway, you'll have to take my word for it. And this is a really beautiful palette for a nighttime look, and I love these, and I purchased them again and again. These are my two favorites. If you ever want to see an eye look with these, I'd be happy to show you because they are so simple and so affordable. I love them, and I'll continue to purchase these. My favorite setting powder on my face was the Coty Airspun, and I still use this today. I've always used this, And it does have a fragrance, so if you don't like fragrance, you won't like this. But I did use it today. Actually, I used all the makeup I'm showing you today. That's what I'm wearing. So I'm wearing the makeup that I wore 5 years ago, and this is pretty much how it looked. So I have this powder on. My favorite mascara was L'Oreal, and I used the L'Oreal Telescopic in Carbon Black. I have it on today, and it is just a beautiful lengthening and defining mascara. And it just has a very thin brush. It's very easy to use on your lower lashes. It doesn't smear or flake or do anything that women don't like, in my opinion. And so this has been a favorite for many, many years, and certainly 5 years ago. And if I wanted more volume, I would use the L'Oreal Voluminous in the gray tube. And I don't have one of those on hand right now, but that was my favorite volumizing mascara 5 years ago. I was a lipstick junkie 5 years ago, and I would often use the higher end lipsticks that would come as free gifts. And I don't think I had a favorite standout, but I did pick the more neutrally tones or pinky tones, and that's what I used. I remember there was one in particular, and I don't know if they still make it. It was by Estee Lauder, and it was called Rosa Rosa. I'll see if I can find it, and I'll link it. I should repurchase a tube of that. It was my favorite for so many years. And then L'Oreal came out with a celebrity collection of nudes, and they had Julienne's Nude. If you've been watching me, you know that I've talked about this. It is still my all-time favorite lipstick. I'm wearing it today, and when I found this lipstick, I was like, yes, you have finally found your forever lipstick. And this is what it looks like. This was designed for Julianne Moore, the celebrity, and she's a redhead with very fair skin, and this is supposed to be a nude, but as you can see, it's a pink. And this is my all-time favorite lipstick. I wore it every single day. If we had somewhere fancy to go or something, I would go with a deeper shade. I'm trying to find my Julienne's pink to show you a comparison of how this really isn't pink compared to that one. Okay, so just to show you, this is Julienne's Nude and this is Julienne's pink. And you can see that the pink is more mattifying, and it's definitely a really true, darker, brighter pink. I love them both. I even like the Julienne's red. So the whole Julianne line from L'Oreal is a favorite of mine, but this is my forever lipstick that I love. I always have one in my purse, and this is one that I'll reach for on a very regular basis. So that's the lipstick I used 5 years ago. I had another lipstick that I really liked by Wet n Wild, and it's called Ready to Swoop. And this is what it looks like, and it's more of a corally tone. And it's got some pink in it too, as you can see. But it's a beautiful shimmery color, and I purchased this over and over and over again. I'll link it if you can still get it. But this is from Wet n Wild, very affordable, and it's called Ready to Swoop. My favorite cosmetic brushes 5 years ago were by EcoTools and Real Techniques. I didn't have any higher end brushes unless they came with like a Lancôme palette or with something from Clinique or was like a gift with purchase kind of thing. 5 years ago, I purchased Real Techniques and I purchased EcoTools. So when I did find YouTube a couple years later, I learned how to put on my eye makeup and my face makeup in a more professional type way, but I learned using Real Techniques brushes. So it took me forever to purchase Morphe and Sigma brushes. In fact, I just did this year, and I do enjoy how their blending brushes and crease brushes have more of a domed shape, and they have some unique shapes that you cannot find in EcoTools and Real Techniques. But they are so cutting edge that I believe they will soon probably be releasing more shapes for us. But I learned to apply my makeup using Real Techniques brushes, so they are very comfortable to me. So that's why I still reach for them when I'm putting on my makeup. There are some really great brushes from Real Techniques that allow us to do really good, fine detail work on our eyes. Like these, for example. They have these really fine brushes, and then they've got some great blending brushes. The one brush I think that they are missing is, like I said, more of a dome or cone shaped crease brush, because when I need a brush like that, I will use a Morphe or a Sigma brush. But I think Real Techniques are fabulous, and they're actually my preferred brushes even still. And just back to eyeshadow one more time. I purchased a lot of singles from L'Oreal, and I think these are fantastic. And right now at Walgreens, I noticed they have some beautiful new colors out that I'd like to try. Some pinks and rose golds and peaches and colors like that. But these are an example of some of the colors that I would use, and I think the quality is fantastic. I have these in these colors, and then I have some more neutral colors that I would use to complement them, and I would often do just a 2 shadow makeup look, or I would just use one of these on my movable lid and then up into my crease and be done. So that's what I used for eyeshadow as well from the drugstore, and they were favorites 5 years ago, and they still are. And the last thing is fragrance, and my favorite fragrances were Coco by Chanel, and this was for evening and going out. This has always been a favorite of mine. It still is today, and I've used this pretty much my whole adult life. I've mentioned in other videos, my parents get me a bottle of it every year on my birthday, and so I always have one on hand. And back then, I really loved the Lancôme Trésor, and it's a very florally sweet scent that isn't my preference anymore, but I loved it for the daytime. And I also really loved the Sensuous line by Estee Lauder. There was a daytime one and a nighttime one, and I would use those, and they smelled fantastic. I have the Estee Lauder Sensuous Noir in my rotation, and my husband really likes this one a lot, so I always keep one of these on hand. And if we're going out to lunch on a Sunday or something, I'll just give myself a little spritz for him because he really enjoys it, and I like it too. It's really nice. So that is pretty much all the makeup I used 5 years ago. I was joking with MaryEllen that pretty much all the makeup I used could fit into one large cosmetics pouch about this size, and I just kept it on my vanity. I had backups of my lipstick and things like that to keep in my purse in a smaller pouch, and things were much simpler then. I loved makeup then every bit as much as I do now, and I still applied it every single day, and it was just, I just didn't have the Sephora and the Ulta accessible, and I did save a lot more money on makeup. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed our collaboration, and don't forget to head over to MaryEllen's if you haven't been there already, and I hope you all have a blessed and beautiful day.